Okay, we are back with Officer Cato, award-winning writer, Officer Dana Cato. It's been a while.
It's been a little over 2 weeks, I think.
It just feels longer. So how did they like it?
They liked it. Mandy thought she sounded like a redneck, and she does. So but
Poor man.
but they liked it. They laughed at it. It was a good little episode.
It was.
Yeah, it worked out very well. I thought. Yeah.
And they're coming back at some. Are they both coming back or just
Dennis will be back
Dennis
at
will
some
be
point. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so cool. Just hearing to me, just hearing things like you guys watching the race.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, that's what we do here.
Yeah, at 2 a.m, right? So, because the time difference was so off. And there was one place I was at in Iraq because I watched NASCAR, of course.
Yeah.
We know this. We've established this.
We have.
That I could only get the station in French. So the guy would be on there talking. I don't understand anything, and then he'll be like, "Jeff Gordon."
Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, and I'd be like, "Well, okay, I know. I got it. I got a little bit of it. I know what we're talking about." But yeah, funny thing, I'm at the Dutch Fork football game, and they had their senior night right after we did the podcast, I think. Yeah.
Really?
So I'm standing down on the track, and somebody called me and said, "Hey, the metal detectors aren't working." Of course, I'm in charge of those things running up there. One of them, something's off. So I go up the steps, and I turn to the left, and I see this guy. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. We both recognize each other immediately, but it's just not registered in my head. And it's Todd, Ricky's money guy, that gave me the passes to sit on the pit box.
The one from Kansas City?
Yes.
He's at Dutch Fork?
I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "What are you doing here?" And it turns out one of the football players for Dutch Fork's team, his dad is a coach at Carolina. Just got promoted to offensive coordinator, by the way. Those two, the dad and Todd, were roommates at Ohio State. So he has come down to watch his son play football, and he's coming back this week. And if they go any further, he said he might bring Ricky with him.
No.
Yeah, that's what he said. So yeah, we could do a podcast right here, Gooey. Yeah, possibly. So we'll see. I'll talk to him. He's going to call me Thursday and let me know when he's coming down. I'm gonna grab him up and get him where he needs to go. So,
I mean, what are the odds?
and he said, "Yeah, I was just gonna come take some pictures." So I take him down to the field. He's like, "Can we go down there?" I'm like, "Listen, if you put me on a pit box, I think I can take you."
You're a high school
I think we can handle that. No problem, right? So he thought I was doing something for him, but at the end of the day, it's just a high school football game. So, but it was just weird.
Yeah.
And then he's telling his buddy, he's going, "I met this guy in Kansas City," and he said he knew I worked for a school district, but he thought Lexington. He thought I was in Lexington. He didn't know, because I told Lexington Richland 5, he wouldn't know what that was.
Right.
He lives in Charlotte, but he had come back from the race they were at, and he was getting ready to go to Phoenix, so for the final race. So they had the last NASCAR race was not this Sunday, but last Sunday, and Kyle Larson won the championship. So
he did.
It's all over now, but it was interesting running into him. And then yesterday was the 250th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. So I took that off, and my wife and Dennis and Mandy, we went down to the State House, South Carolina State House. They did a cake cutting ceremony.
Did they really?
Yes, and it was pretty nice. They did read everything that you read. They did the whole shebang, right? And then cut the cake. And 250 years, this is a big deal for the Marine Corps. Especially all of them were born in Tun Tavern in 1775 in a bar. Tun Tavern was named
about
a
right.
bar. So that was in Philadelphia originally. And everybody has converged on to Philadelphia this weekend for the Marine Corps birthday, and plenty of videos of it coming out. So it was a big deal anywhere the Marines were for 250th birthday. So when we were done with the ceremony, at Chapin High School's, it's very interesting. So the I&I staff for the Marine Corps Reserve was going to come and do the colors but because the government was shut down, they couldn't come.
Really?
They had the parade downtown Columbia today. There's no soldiers from Fort Jackson
Wait, why couldn't they still come?
because the government shut down. They don't transportation, gas, money,
Drive
all of that,
Uber
right?
themselves.
So the and I couldn't come, so he reached out to Chapin High School, and their ROTC went, and they did a fantastic job. They were very impressive. Everybody down there was impressed with them.
At the State House?
Yes, yeah. So it was great. Colonel was down there, had all his full blues on and everything, and it was really good. They did really well. So stepping in, kudos to them for stepping in because they had to jump through hoops to make that happen.
Got a great program.
Yeah, they were fantastic, and everybody down there. The Marine Corps League put it on. So they're an organization that they have around the United States, different chapters. If you were in the Marines, no matter if you were here for 2 years or 30, you can join the Marine Corps League and you can be part of it. And they have regular meetings and do things for the community and stuff like that. But after the ceremony was over, Mandy and I have a friend, a mutual friend from Kershaw. He's a sergeant at arms at the State House. Well, Mandy stays in close touch with him. They're pretty good buddies. So when he found out we were there, he wasn't there. He had taken the Speaker of the House down the bottom end of the state, down toward Bluffton. He got one of his people up there to give us a tour of the Capitol. I've never been in that Capitol. Brother, we went everywhere. And I learned a lot.
Did you see the cannonball
All of that.
hits
Everything.
on the
I
wall?
went down in the basement where the tunnels have been covered up. I went everywhere. Went into the library, and I got to go because I asked. I said, "What's the oldest book in here?" And she's like, "I don't know. Let's go look." So we
Just
walked,
find the
go-
oldest book.
Yeah, and they brought the mace out for us. I didn't know what a mace was. Do you know what a mace is?
Is it the stick?
Yeah, it's the
Staff?
stick. It's that staff. That's supposed to be it's a weapon. That's what it represents. And it's old, and it's worth like $1.1 million. They brought it down, put it right in front of us. I was like, oh, Lord, I'm too close to this thing. But it was really, and I didn't even know what it was. So Dennis is standing there with me, and this girl said, I'm going to take y'all in, and we're going to take the mace out of the case. And Dennis is like, well, they stole that thing in 1970. She said, yeah, an employee stole it, got caught with it. I said, hold on. What are we even talking about? I don't even know what a mace is, right? So, but this thing was very decorative. It was, oh man, and it's it's interesting because what holds it all together is there's a broomstick in the middle of it.
No. Like
Yeah.
a regular old broomstick?
Like from the 1700s. It screws down at the bottom. But this thing's worth like $1.1 million. I mean, it's crazy, right? So it's pure silver. Yeah.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Plated in gold. Yeah, it's
Gosh.
it's a nice relic, no doubt. So, and then that was in the House, and we went over to the Senate, and we just went around. And so I had a real interesting day. And then the reason I'm wearing this get up,
I was going to say.
yeah, is I had to speak at a school today for a Veterans Day program.
You had to.
Well, they asked me to.
Yeah,
And
love
so I went and spoke, and they had Irmo Middle School had a really good Veterans Day program today, and had a lot of veterans show up.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
It
good.
was good. And their band played, and the orchestra played, and the chorus sang, and had a little girl singing some songs, and it was pretty good little. I gave 10, 15-minute spiel, and it went off really well. So by the time I got done with that, if I was gonna go home and change, come back up here, it didn't make any sense.
Hey, I'm glad you didn't.
So,
we get that on camera.
Well, and these are some are personal awards, and some of them are campaign awards. Desert Shield, Desert Storm from Somalia and from Afghanistan. So they're all represent something different. And for every one of these, there's also a ribbon. So you see people wear ribbons. Okay? So for every one of these, there's a ribbon. But there's not a medal for every ribbon. So if you wore your medals in your uniform, the ribbons that didn't correlate to a medal, you wore them on this side.
Oh,
Right?
Never
So,
knew that.
medals like sea service ribbons, things like that, overseas ribbons, recruiting duty ribbons, those type things, they don't have a medal for those. A medal's got to rate a little bit higher to come out of the thing. So yeah. So it's been a
couple
whirlwind. I'm tired.
I'll bet. You know what award I've got? the bronze
The bronze.
award from the Military Writers
Yeah,
Association.
you got the bronze award.
So I'm still floored.
Yeah.
Just right into the guy at
Just
Dutch
ran
Fork.
right into him. Yeah, Dutch Fork High School. Who would have figured? You know, who would have thought?
That's crazy.
Yeah, small world, I guess.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Hey, we can get Ricky in here.
We may be able to. We'll
That
see
would
what-
be-
He's off. He don't have
He's
to go
off.
back to. Well, I'm sure they're doing something, but he ain't got to go back to racing until February.
Man.
But I'm sure they'll be testing cars on tracks and so on and so forth.
That would be fun. Have him in here, just talk about car. I mean, he wouldn't really, unless he's read it.
He may have.
He may have read it. Man,
Well, we'll see.
gosh,
We'll see.
this is what we've missed by going 2 weeks
I
without.
know. Yeah.
There's so much to talk about. Well, speaking of much to talk about, we had last episode was great.
Yes.
So great. With Catfish 126, just your best friend growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband running into him in Iraq, and
Yep.
it's just incredible. We had a chapter earlier called "The End of the Beginning."
Mm-hmm.
That was the one. I think it was right before Cat. I'm looking at it right now. It was the one. No, it was before Death of a President. It was called "The End of the Beginning." This one is called "The Beginning of the End."
Yes. So one thing ends, the invasion ends. America's got control of the country.
Your leave ends.
My leave ends. So we are at the end of the beginning stage of the war. And now we're starting to go
The beginning of the ending.
the
stage.
beginning to the end. Yes, because a whole new regime's going to be in charge now, and the military leadership's going to change somewhat, and things are going to start to pick up and roll now.
There was a lot in here that I didn't know, but there's a lot in there I didn't know, but we'll get to that in a second. It took you one paragraph to go back to the Gurkhas when you said the first sentence I have highlighted says I wanted to make a more substantial impact than I left before, especially with the Gurkhas. We joke about the Gurkhas, but it really was important to you.
It was extremely important to me. Those were my men. I was the leadership, and I just didn't think I was having the impact on them that a leader should have. I felt like I was failing in ways when it came to keeping these guys motivated, keeping them go, making them understand what everything was about. I just didn't feel like I just felt like I was failing for some reason. The communication was lacking.
So why them more than? And I'm sure you felt that way with everybody who was under your command, but why so much more than? Is it because of their reputation and they were the guys? And
It was kind of threefold, I think. One was just being in a leadership position.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, knowing their reputation, absolutely, but they also knew mine. Right? They knew what a United States Marine was. They understood that very well. Right? So I was trying to live up to all of those things.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, was it almost like the challenge of, because these guys are so known throughout the world, that if you had their respect, it meant you really earned it. It meant that you had really, it was an accomplishment to have earned their
100%.
respect. So that
100%. You didn't really have this problem in the Marine Corps because it's just, you're dealing with Marines. You know Marines. You know them well.
Right.
And that, I'm not saying you didn't have bad leaders in the Marine Corps, because you did at times. There was some leadership that would come in and kind of question. But good thing about the Marine Corps is about every 3 years everything changes. So, I just, and I think that's really, I think you hit it right there. It was gaining their respect, and being able to see it. I couldn't see it, and that made me feel like I was failing.
Well, and the fact that this was like one of your first thoughts after 2 months of being home, that means that it had been eating at you.
The whole time I was home.
Gosh.
Yeah, the whole time I was home.
You said, I could try leading with a better sense of direction for all involved, not just them,
Correct.
but everybody. But
Yeah.
it's one of those where if you can win them over, then everybody else is you probably won everybody else over too.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You said that things were about to start popping, and I knew that the happenings within the Iraqi government and the country would get tense going forward. What could you feel going back?
You could just tell. So you get it. So I leave 2 months earlier and go on, and I come back now, and there's just a different vibe on the compound, especially from the Iraqis, and the Iraq government people, the people working there. You could just feel it, that they were getting fed up with America.
You said the same thing about Somalia. When at first the humanitarian efforts, and then you went back and it was like, this is different.
Yes.
So
yeah.
it was similar in that regard.
Yeah. Well,
but on probably a bigger scale.
But once again, there's things going on around the country that I'm not aware of yet, that are affecting and driving all of this, and I haven't been privy to any of the information yet, so I don't know some of these things that are going on. It's having an effect on the high level government, and then it's spilling down to everybody on that compound. And Lord knows what this guy's saying and what it sounds like when it gets down here.
Yeah.
That's a word of mouth thing. We've all played that game in school.
Absolutely.
Right? So I don't know what truth they're getting. I don't know what truth I'm getting either. So I'll be told one thing by my government, one thing by the Iraq government.
The crazy thing that struck me when I was reading this was, and you just said it, stuff that's said and going on up here, and then how it reaches the people down here. In here we have stuff that happens in Washington, D.C., White House, Congress, and then you had people 10 feet away who are at the very top of the government, and then people 10 feet away this way. I mean, the physical distance of that, and then the consequences of that, literally right hand to left hand.
And it was fast.
It's
fast. And these people are spilling out of that government building every afternoon, and they're going back into their communities. And they're telling everybody out there what's going on at the government level. So it's spreading. And it's making it to newspapers. Yeah, like Al Jazeera and the Baghdad newspapers. And some of those, our government controlled. Some of them we did not. So we could control the narrative on some of those papers. But there were some of them, no, absolutely not. We could not.
We were introduced to Denny and Tim, and you said that their compound was hit.
Oh, they would take it hard down there. So Hilla, I guess it was south of me. I had never been down there. Well, Tim and Denny, Tim being an Australian, Denny was an old Scottish guy, British Royal Marine. They were sitting down there for that compound. They'd been down there for a while. They'd been in country longer than I had. Both of them had. And this wasn't their first rodeo either, right? So, but I didn't know them that well.
Right.
I'd heard of them. It came through one time when they were getting ready to fly out and go somewhere, and they stayed near me, and I got to meet them. But that was just like a brief night or whatever. But down in Hilla where they were, that was a recruiting base for the Army and for the police.
For the Iraqi Army.
For the Iraqi Army and for the police. They had long civilian lines outside this compound all the time. So it was a floating target. It was just a matter of time. And it sat right on the Euphrates River. I mean, that part of the river, once you get out of the city, is beautiful. So it's not polluted. It's blue water. It looks really nice. So they were set up pretty good down there. But this thing took a truck bomb at the front gate that was just devastating. Devastating in all aspects that you could think of. For the community, for the Americans, for the Army, for the police, for everything. It killed a bunch of kids too. And it just, the images that came out of that were so horrible that our government said, shut it down.
And you did not necessarily agree with that, or a lot of people, I guess, didn't really agree with that.
Is this what we're going to do every time we get hit? We're just going to close and back up, or are we going to build better and do better next time? What are we going to do here? So I don't think a lot of people agreed with shutting Hilla down that quick, but I think in the government's eyes, to make it go away This is what we got to do.
Well, if it's closed down, there's going to be no more bombings at it.
Correct. And so that brings Denny and Tim back to the green zone because they don't have a job now.
Which, like you said, timing couldn't have been better for you.
Correct.
Because you were you showed up. You have this sense of, I'm gonna do this stuff. I'm gonna lead this. I'm gonna make this place better. But you needed help.
I needed help.
And help arrived.
Denny had a lot of experience, especially over in some of those areas in the Irish areas where a lot of the Protestants and Catholics were going at it on each other in a terrorist way. And Tim was just a great strategist, you know. He was just a real smart guy. He was. So I'd asked if I needed help, and the company said, I asked for help, and the company said, okay, if you need help, Denny's going to be the man. He's coming to you.
With his Scottish, thick Scottish accent.
I couldn't hardly understand a word he said. He walked in there and started talking, and I'm sure he couldn't understand me.
I was going to say, true too.
So I had to watch his lips because he's soft spoken with that accent. You know, he's not brash. He wasn't loud. So we were totally opposite people. I'll tell you that much. So yeah, because I was loud and brash. You know, I just wanted to look at him and go, speak up. But yeah, he came in full force, and what I did not know about Denny was he had Gurkha knowledge.
Yeah, that was it. Another surprising thing about Denny, something I needed more than anything else. He knew, worked with, and understood the Gurkha.
He did. He could even speak some Nepali as well. So, and they seemed to know him. So Denny, and you know, those Gurkhas would move around sometimes from compound to compound. Not the leadership, but maybe some of the men, if they needed to shift them, they could. They were all over the country. So these little compounds were everywhere, right, that my company was running. And they were also running money to banks and stuff like those type things. Those Gurkhas would be in the vehicles, as you know. So they were moving. They were all over. They had their hands in everything, man. We were moving everywhere. So they knew who Denny was. They knew who either they knew him personally or word of mouth. But they liked Denny. They had a lot of respect. They had respect for Denny. You know, right off the bat, I could see it. The minute he stepped on the compound.
Man, like I felt this line you wrote. You said the Gurkhas have a high level of respect for Denny and a particular affection for him that I had never felt. I read that. I started to get a little teary-eyed. And you said I was a little jealous. To say
I was a little jealous.
After all, I was the one who'd been leading them for the last 6 months.
So, you know, I was a little jealous. I mean, he just kind of steps in and like, hey guys, I'm here. And they're like, oh, thank God. Right?
You want to come have a drink?
Yeah. Do something, you know, help this guy out. So, yeah, they were glad to see Denny show up. And I was glad to see Denny. I didn't know how glad I was going to be to have Denny there, but turned out that he was a lifesaver. Yeah, absolutely.
And you even told him, you said, I told him how the difficulties I had, and you said, and I even told him that I tried to hang out with him one Saturday night, and they said no. You said he gave you a strange look and said, did they invite you to dinner, mate? I'm not going to try the accent.
And they did not.
They did not.
So Denny goes in and explaining to me how the Gurkhas actually see me.
And I'll give you a chance to do this. It made perfect sense.
100%. 100%. Once I saw it in my mind, they looked at me as a colonel, as a regimental leader. And when he told me that, it kind of took me back. I was like, what? So here's the problem. I was trying to be a friend.
Yeah.
That's the first problem.
Well,
you're not friends with the colonel.
Right. And you said I would have done the same if a full bird Marine Corps colonel had showed up at one of our outings. If you're in a bar and a full bird colonel walks in, you're not like, hey, come over.
It'll shut you down.
Right.
Yeah, you'll start behaving.
That's exactly right.
That's what will happen. Yes.
You would never think to do that. Never. No one would.
So here I was trying to be a friend of the Gurkha. And that was the key to the whole issue. That's what was not working. Stay professional. All the time. All the time. And that has nothing to do with friendship. Not a damn thing.
And you said the Gurkhas would have nothing to do with that kind of leadership.
Yep. Nope, not at all. So now I'm starting to understand.
You are. We have this light bulb moment, and
Yeah.
then Amal comes.
And a mall comes out of nowhere. Yeah,
That was your person.
that was my person.
And it was, and when you go into talking about that, I mean, a lot's changed with her
A lot has
in
changed with
2
her.
months. 2 months.
2 months. So as the government started to grow, so as ministers came in and then they started forming their committees, different things that you would. So our government has people who sit on the Defense Department, people who sit, our congressmen who sit on these different committees. Well, that's what they're building over there. And one of these committees they're building is being called the De-Baathification Party. So Saddam Hussein's party was the Ba'ath Party, the Ba'athist Party. And once again, I'll go back. I've said it about Amal in here, I think, before, or maybe not. You're not going to go anywhere in Iraq and be a success, get an education, make any money, unless you belong to Saddam's party.
Yeah. Oh, no, you said that.
Now, all these people that came in, a lot of these ministers had been exiled. So they didn't live in Iraq. A lot of them were coming back in. Like Dr. Alawi, he wasn't in Iraq. He was in the UK. Chalabi, who caused all this, was in the UK. So a lot of these people, some of them were in Syria, some of them were in Jordan. And they came back as Saddam, when Saddam got caught, and started moving in to build this government and starting this government up. So they're building this party, and this one committee is the De-Baathification Party. So what the party was meant to do was to psychologically take that party out of the country, right? It'd be like us trying to take, well, I'll just say the Republicans, the Republican way of thinking off the map. That's what this was going to be. Educational. No, it turned out to be a witch hunt.
Well, yeah, because for years it was, hey, everybody, if you want to amount to anything, have any success, want a job, want an education, come be a part of this party. And so people, whether you believed in what they believed in at their core beliefs or not, people came running to it because you had to.
Yes.
And then overnight, it's like, hey, if you're over here, you're gone. You're
Yes.
dead.
Yeah.
It's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah. So the government would never say this is what we're doing.
Sure.
That's not the intent. But they had people outside that were doing what they needed to do. And she knew it, and she was scared. And she was getting it from both sides now, because now that Saddam was gone, there's no one there to protect the Christians. Remember, he protected the Christians.
That's right.
He wouldn't let anybody persecute, bother them, nothing. He protected them. Now, she's getting it because of the De-Baathification and because she's a Christian. Now she's starting to cover her head up. She's starting to look more like an Iraqi Shia female to come in and go off and on the compound. And she had never done that before. And when she would come to work and leave work, it was without fear. This woman was in a panic.
Well, and you also said that some of these anti-Baathists were having this kind of bloodlust because they were uncovering these mass graves.
That's going on now too. So this starts while I'm at home. And I'm seeing some of this on the news, right? But I had no.
If you're seeing on the news, that means that there's 20 times.
I had no idea what the scale was. They're uncovering these mass graves, and they're just massive graves. Seriously, I mean, with hundreds and hundreds of bodies in them. And then they're pulling them out and they're just lining them up. And people are coming down to identify, to say, is this my loved one? I haven't seen them for 10 years. I hadn't seen them for 5 years. And so they're still in the clothes they were wearing or whatever the case, or had the jewelry on. So people were coming and identifying their loved ones that were just basically bones now by what they were wearing.
And the family members and supporters of the people in those graves are now the ones in power, and they want to make the people who put those bodies in those graves, they want to make them pay.
Absolutely.
And that included a lot of people who just wanted an education, who just joined the Baptist Party because, hey, look, I just wanted to go to school. I just wanted a job.
Yeah.
Too bad. Your group put my family member in a grave, so now I'm going to put you in a grave.
And they had the documentation. They knew who was a Bath member.
Oof.
Yeah. And some of these people we needed to purge. You know, don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody in Saddam's chain of command was we needed to purge.
Uday and Qusay were
Right?
Baptists.
But the bad thing is, and I get that. And I get that the government's like, you know, some of these Army guys that did all this, we're going to get them. We're going to take them out. But, you know, with everything else, the innocent always get caught up in this trash all the time. Even with us at war, you know, the innocent get caught up in it, and it goes haywire, and you just can't protect everybody. And I just felt like with the mall, I was like, listen, as long as you're on this compound, nobody gonna touch you. It ain't gonna happen. I'm not gonna let it. But she had to go home.
Yeah.
She had to go home.
I assume this is going to come back. We're going to learn a lot more about
Yeah.
kind of all of that. You had to make a speech.
Surely did. Denny and I had to go in and brief the government on our security plan. Because now, you know, this all sounds like it happened like that, you know, because we're jumping from one story to another in this chapter. I'm just trying to really get you set up for the meat of what's coming here, right?
And when you say talk to the government, you mean the government.
The Iraq government, all the
All of it.
ministers, yeah, the president at the time, the city vice president, everybody. We're going to talk to all of them. So they tell us you're going to come in, you're going to brief the government. They want to know, they want to be briefed on the security issue. And I'm like, you know, on our plans and whatever we had. And I said, absolutely, and they needed to be, right? We had never thought about doing that with them, but somehow they finally got around to, let's do it.
You said you were nervous.
I was very nervous. I'm about, you know, here I am, this guy from this small town in South Carolina, and I'm about to sit down and address a standing government, a world government. And I was nervous, you know, and I just did not want to mess it up. I didn't want to mess it up so bad. So my project manager was there too. Denny was with me.
Little foreshadowing.
And Tim was there as well. Tim was sitting in the back. And so the government had its own translator. Because they wasn't going to let Safe in the room, I'm telling you that right now. So it just wasn't going to happen. So the government had its own translator that would translate, that worked for the government and would translate papers and books and all this stuff for the government. So he comes and tells me, he goes, listen, I'm going to be standing behind you. They want this done in Arabic. Although 99% of them spoke English. They want this done in Arabic. I go, okay, I get that.
How do you do? Like, if somebody's not going to come into the Capitol in D.C. and address Congress in a different language.
Sure.
So I get it.
So it makes sense. So sat down and the address was going pretty well. And I had to preface this, I think, with saying that the Iraqi people are very proud people. They are. Which puts them in situations they don't need to be in sometimes because they're that proud. So when I told them if this compound was overrun, that we had the Army real close to us, and then they had the Marines back over the embassy, they said, we're pushing you back to the embassy to protect you. They went crazy, about 6 of them. Just start screaming stuff in Arabic. And I'm like, oh, what'd I say?
I mean, it makes total sense.
Yeah, and so the translator's like, I'm looking up at him. I'm like, you going to tell me anything? What's going on? And then, I mean, they screamed for like 5 minutes. And it was 6 or 7 going back and forth and screaming, pointing toward us. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, God, I've blown it, right? And
meanwhile, that's your job. That's
my job.
why you are there.
Exactly.
So why would they have a
and
problem
then all the
with it?
translator says, so when all that's done, all that conversation, they're angry that they cannot protect themselves.
I like that instead of just saying that right away, he just let it go.
So, I think, you know, I looked at Danny and I said, I never raised my voice. I stayed just like this, talking into a microphone. I think we handled it very well. And I let the government know at that point. I said, listen, if something happens to you guys, where's the future? I'm not going to run the country. I'm going home. I need you guys to set up your laws, set up your constitution, get your country running. I can't do that if all of you get overrun on this compound. You've got to let us fight this fight for you. That's what you're paying us for. And I think that hit home pretty well, you know. And then Denny showed them all our evacuation routes and where we would go and how we would move them. And they seemed to be satisfied with it. We walked out of there with our dignity in check, and that's all I was looking to do anyway, right? Just come out of it clean. But you're so surreal. You're just kind of shocked, even walking out of there. I think Denny and I we could have been holding hands. We wouldn't have known it.
You said you were in complete daze.
We were. I mean, you know, we just briefed an entire standing government. A government. It would be like walking into Washington, D.C. and going into the halls of joint session of Congress and briefing them.
And then getting yelled at.
And then getting yelled at. So that's what it felt like. And I think we were both just kind of in a daze, and it was like, whew, you know, just in a daze. So, but it was a highlight it was one of the biggest highlights of being over there.
Well, it's got to be one of the highlights of your entire career.
Because here's the other thing. Their historian is documenting all this.
Oh, you're in the books.
I'm in the books. So is Denny. We're in the books. We briefed the government on their security plan, blah, 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 blah. We're in the books. So I'm a part of history.
You are a part of history.
And there's just...
You're a historical figure.
Ain't that something? Yeah, for like all of 15 minutes. But, yeah, it was my 15
Would have been
minutes.
10 if you hadn't been yelled at for 5 minutes.
Yeah, would have been. But, yeah, it was quite strange. But, you know, the people
incredible,
the
though.
people that were screaming in that meeting, none of them were Kurds and none of them were Sunni. It was Ashia. It was Ashia.
Interesting.
But that is the group that was oppressed the most.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're starting to come out of the shadows. That is the group that had the bodies in the mass graves. So you see where things are starting to shift now. The Shias got the majority. They never did before. And they were always pushed to the bottom, pushed to the bottom. Saddam kept his heel on them all the time. Now they're going to have some power. Things are going to start to ramp up.
And then, I mean, does it? I mean, it does, because you said you were in a daze. You were just talking about that. I mean, that is an extremely significant thing to be able to walk in there and address the entire, like you said, both chambers of
It is.
Congress
Sometimes,
and the president. And
even
just,
when I say it, it doesn't even sound real. And that was funny about traveling back and forth, right? I would travel, when I would come home, I'd go from Iraq to Kuwait, from Kuwait to London, home. Well, I was in an airport a lot, had a lot of long layovers.
you spent 3 days in a bar.
And I met a lot of people. But it was hard when they would be like, well, what do you do for a living? And I'm thinking, he's never going to believe me. I guard the Iraq government. Okay.
Like your security guard at the state
No,
the state capitol kind
it's
of
not
thing.
like that. You know, I'm in the president's office. I'm up in the General Assembly's office, at the General Secretary's office all the time. So I guard the government. I work for a company that guards the government. And then they'd ask me, you know, they'd be, well, that sounds interesting. We'd have some stories. And I'm sure as soon as I walked off to get on my plane, they were like, man, that guy's full of shit. You know, I mean, I wouldn't have believed it. You know, so who am I going to tell that I addressed the Iraq government? I think I called my mother. I did.
She'll believe me.
I did. As soon as we got our senses together or whatever we were dealing with at this time, I called my mom and I said, you are not going to believe what your son just did. And I told her, and she didn't even think it was a big deal. So let me speak to
you
Daddy.
can't
Let me speak
win.
to Daddy.
Put him on phone.
So, but she did. She did finally understand this. I don't think people understood what the Iraq government was.
Well,
at that
I was
time.
going to say that too. I think it seemed like it was the Iraq government. It just like even the U.S. government. It's so big and vast. It's like you're not talking to the whole government, but you were.
I was.
The entire the entire government.
I was all the ministers were sitting at the table, square table, and then all their cronies were against the wall. So it was a packed room. It was a packed room. Yeah, committee heads and all of that were there. So it was when I walked in and realized how many people were actually in there. I did get nervous then. I was like, oh man, I got to knock this out of the park somehow. But we did. Denny and I both did. Our project manager was thrilled. You know?
And so I was thinking about this when you were talking about how they were offended that you were going to protect them, because in their, and I don't know this, I'm speculating, but in their society, in their lives, it's an honor for them to fight. But I don't need you to fight for me. You're not fighting. So it almost seemed like
more of a dishonor.
Right, that they can't fight their own battles.
They can't fight their own battles.
And
right.
so they
and that's that Middle Eastern mentality.
Yeah.
And I got it. I understood it.
I think most I don't want to say guys. Most guys would they kind of get it. It's like, I don't need you to fight my battles for me. It's kind of how they were, and so in doing so, it almost seemed like you're not good enough to fight this fight. We got it because you can't do it, and they were offended. It's like, no. We're fighting because we need, like you said, we need you to do bigger and better things.
Yes, and looking back on it in hindsight, even a couple of days after that, I thought, I probably should have led with that. You know what I mean?
Not we got this.
Yeah, I probably should have led with, I need you guys to stay alive, right? And run to go, right? Instead of saying what we were going to do if it happened, and where we were going to push you back to, and let the Army and the Marines
we're
protect
going to make you hide.
Yes, and I probably could have went, but I had no idea that was going to explode either.
Yeah, well, I mean, your job was to brief them on what the plan, and that was the plan. We're going to push you back in here where the Army will protect you.
Yep.
And I mean, that is logistically what the plan was. And you didn't know they would be so offended by it.
And I'm glad that conversation had taken place, because if we would have to do it for real without them knowing, boy, it really would have been chaos.
That's true.
They'd have been grabbing weapons and standing, and and now I'm got to even do more to protect them. I can't take care of what's coming at me, right? So I'm glad that we were able to brief them and that they got it and they understood.
Yeah.
So now everybody was on the same sheet of music. I thought.
You thought. I'm kind of backing up a little bit because I jumped over this. The story, but it just has to be told. It was the one about Fern.
Oh yeah, she. What was her full name again? Fern.
It was Fern Lena.
Fern Lena. She was a Cherokee Indian, actually. She was over there, women's rights, buddy. That was her thing. She was going over there to make sure the women were going to get rights, and they weren't going to be held back by this government. And she was going all over the country to do it in different places. Well, like I said in there, Denny and Tim were sensing the tension too. And they saw what was coming around the corner. And she was going to go off the compound one day. And Denny had said to her, don't go. Don't go. You don't need to be out there. She said, I'll be fine. I got protection. I'll be okay. And she had bodyguards with her, right? They were locals. She got stopped at a police checkpoint, and the police assassinated her. Everybody in the car, put them in the trunk. They got caught later with the bodies in the trunk. Those 6 guys, they were dressed like police anyway. Now, whether they were actual police or not, I can't really remember. But there was a lot of conflict going on at that time within the police, Iraqi police, and within the Iraqi military. So we were having military guys flip on us too.
What was the reasoning for assassinating her?
To stop her from furthering women's rights within that country. Yeah. So, and it was definitely a hit, because at that time, if you were an American out there that got caught like that, you'd have been kidnapped, held for ransom, or they would have made a spectacle out of you on a video.
Which you also talked about.
Yes, but they didn't do that with her. It was a hit. They were waiting. So she went through that same checkpoint every day.
Oh.
So they knew. And but Denny, he knew. Him and Tim both knew. They just didn't. And you learn in that environment too. When something doesn't feel right, you better stick with it. You better, if the hair stands up on the back of your neck, go with it. Because 9 times out of 10, you're right. And they just knew. And she lost her life, unfortunately. And I think, I don't know that Denny will ever admit this, but that got to him.
I'm sure.
Oh, it did, because I could hear it in his voice when he would tell me the story. I think he feels responsible. I think
Like he
somewhere in
could've
the
done
back of
more.
his mind, it's like if I'd have just wrapped my arms around her and said, no, you ain't leaving. She'd still be alive today. I think he carries that with him. He shouldn't, but he
shouldn't.
does.
Well,
But
and he shouldn't, because he can't keep her on the compound every day. And
No.
if there was a hit, if it wasn't that day,
They're
it
gonna
would have
get
been
her.
the next day.
They were going to get her eventually, one way or the other.
Gosh, that's tough.
But I believe it rode on him kind of hard. Just when he talked about her and that incident, it was always different. It was just a different manner of speaking. I could just see it. But he's carrying that with him. He carries it with him every day. He probably still does. I'm sure he does.
Gosh.
I've talked to him a few times. We don't talk about that.
I would imagine.
He's read the book, though.
Has he?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I sent him a copy. And, yeah, I think he carries that weight. But, you know, there was some tragedy over there. From time to time, you would lose people that you were close to, or, you know, and then it's just a fact of that, of that environment, you know. And unfortunately, she didn't listen that day. And like you said, if it wasn't that day, it was going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't know who's behind that stuff. Could it be somebody from the government? Could it be somebody from the Ba'ath Party? You know, you just never know. But she was such a staunch women's right person. I mean, she didn't take trash, man. She was on it, right? So she gave her life for that cause, but she did a lot of good.
Yeah.
She did a lot of good over there. She was a great example, I think, for younger Iraqi women. Yeah, she was.
Good.
But
Well, yeah, I thought that story was worth going back for. I
Yeah.
kind of glossed over it. So you and Denny are coming out of the briefing.
yeah,
Total days.
yeah.
And freaking safe, man.
Safe, man. It's always something
It's
with
always
him, right? Something's running up, and he's got this guy with him, and he's introducing him. He's like, "Can you give him a job?" You know, he don't have no home. He just lives on the street. He's a buddy of mine. And I'm like, how'd he get on the compound? And Safe said one thing he should have never said. The Gurkha knows me well. They trust me. So the Gurkhas said, just let this dude do whatever he wants to do at the gates. Denny lost his ever-loving mind.
Well, first of all, you're like, why do they trust you and not me?
Right. And, you know, and those Gurkhas knew everything's going on. Everything's coming in and out of those gates. They knew. They knew better than we did. But I said, no, sir. You know, I was angry. I was mad. I was mad with Safe. Denny was mad with the Gurkhas. Because in my mind, Safe knew better.
Yeah.
He knew better, right? So the guy he'd introduced me to, his name was Syed. And he didn't speak English at all. He didn't speak nothing. So I walked him back to the gate, and I pushed him out the gate. And I had the Iraqi police down there. I said, this guy don't ever come back in here again, you understand me? Our Iraqi police only work during the day. They didn't work at night, 'cause we locked that gate up, you know. So I threw him out. I was mad at Safe. I was so mad, because I felt like, you know, that was some trust broken. And I get it, people break trust all the time. I understand that. But over there, that's life and death.
Yeah.
That's a different ball game, right? So
It's not like inviting somebody over to your house to watch the race uninvited. Be like, hey, I brought somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, no. This is very different.
yeah, this is very different. I don't know who this guy is. He ain't been vetted by anybody. You know,
It's homeless.
I can't. Even Safe was vetted by our government to be a translator on that compound. This guy, I don't even know who he is. You know, just a friend of yours? Okay. You know, and then again, how well do I know you, Safe?
Right.
So, you know, once again, I'm heeding Ronnie's words.
Yeah.
Don't you trust anybody. Don't you trust anybody. So I took this kid back, and Safe was trying to talk to him as we were leaving, and the guy would say to me, and he, please, please. I'm like, no. Pushed him right out the compound. Told the Iraqis, don't let him back in here. Told the Gurkhas, I better not ever see him on this compound again, ever. And Denny tore them up, their leadership. He got their captains together up there, the captains and the lieutenants, and I mean, he tore them up. I didn't know that Denny had that in him because he was so quiet and laid back. No. And because it was Denny, it stuck.
Yeah. And you know what well, you do know. The result of him yelling at them was?
Yeah.
They invited him to dinner.
Invited us to dinner. Said,
No. Don't say us.
Okay, so they invited Denny, but Denny came and he said, hey, we're going to dinner Saturday night. I said, dinner? They invited you to dinner? He said, yeah. I said, son of a... I said, okay, all right. He said, yeah, we're gonna go over there Saturday night. And I'm just standing
plus
in
one.
there. He's in there screaming at these guys, and as soon as he's done, they ask him to go to dinner. I'm like, so. Then he was right. Hold true to your professionalism. Lead like a leader with some rank, and not a friend. And these guys they'll buckle down and do what's got to be done. You had to stay on top of them all the time. You had to stay on top, and I wasn't doing that. You got to be on top of them all the time. And that was a failure of my leadership. Safe bringing Syed on was a failure of my leadership. Had I been harder on the Gurkhas to begin with, they'd have never let that guy in the gate.
So who was Denny over? Did he have any authority over the Gurkhas?
Oh, absolutely. Me and Denny were in charge together
Okay.
Yeah.
So why was that not a failure of his leadership?
because he hadn't been there long enough.
Oh, okay.
He's still learning. He's still learning the compound, right? But Denny showing up to today and staying a week or 2 weeks being there was not going to fix what I had screwed up for 6 months. Yeah, it was going to take a little time to figure out where all the gaps were. Where did I fail in my leadership that Denny's going to fill a gap in, right? This is one. This is one. There'll be more.
We're not going to get into the dinner because the first words of the next chapter are dinner with the Gurkhas wasn't just a meal. So we're going to talk obviously a lot more about that.
Yeah, that's a chapter on its own.
So what do we have coming up? What do we have coming up? Like just give us the synopsis of where we're going with. I think Nightlife was the name of the.
Nightlife's the thing. You'll get to see that actually the Green Zone was jumping a little bit. And I didn't know this. It's an underground network, right? And Denny knew it all. Denny knew where all the little bars in it, because a lot of those companies that were over there, a lot of them were British, and some were Scottish, and some were, so they knew.
There's
some.
no absence of bars.
Right, so they knew these people. And I mean, they just underground. It's underground. It's a network within the Green Zone.
Really?
Yeah, it was a party central, man. It was. It could be. Yeah. So we're kind of gonna go with that, and then the country just really tanks. It just tanks, and things get really, really bad, really bad. They get real bad. So it's going to be chaotic. It's going to probably be fast paced, and it's the meat of the story is about to come alive.
It's crazy that like every chapter, so much gets revealed, so much happens, we learn so much, and then every time you're still like, yeah, but it still hasn't taken off yet. And it's like, how much? Like, what does that even look like?
Yeah. it's chaos. It's a chaotic world. I look back on some of this stuff. It was 22, 23 years ago. It doesn't seem real, but it happened. I was there, so it was a different world. And like I said, I look at videos today of Iraq and Baghdad and some of the places I was at, and it looks like they have come a very long way from some of the stuff I see. I follow a lot of vloggers who travel the world, and they've gone back there a few times, and it is not out of the realm of possibility of me going back one day.
I was going to ask.
It's not out. We even talked about this the other day, me and Dennis and my wife, because Mandy ain't going. She won't leave the country. That's just who she is. She's like, I ain't going. I ain't leaving the country. So there we go. So I was like, man, we could fly over there, and I still know some people in the area. So, I don't know.
That would be amazing.
It would.
We could get you to call in.
Yeah.
We could do an episode from Iraq.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Denny call in as well.
Oh, is that the one that you talked? You said you were going to have somebody call from overseas.
From Scotland. Well, he's not in Scotland. He's in the UK right now. But yeah, I'm going to have him call in, and we'll put him on too.
Gosh, that would be amazing.
So yeah, I wish I could get him over here. That would be even better.
You, Denny, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Ain't that something we could do at all? Maybe bring Mandy back in then.
Yeah, come on.
So no, it's a whirlwind of a book. It takes a lot of twists and turns and very violent and very chaotic. And
Well, but it's not the book. You just said it's a whirlwind of a book. No, it's a whirlwind of a country. It was a whirlwind of a life. It's a whirlwind of an experience.
yeah.
The book is just documentation.
The book's just documentation. Yeah, I just never thought of it that way, but yeah. So it's intense, to say the least. I would have never, in my wildest dreams, thought I would be doing that. Never. Not any time in the Marine Corps. I never thought about anything like that whatsoever. I just never would have. And then even if I would have, it wouldn't have been in this capacity. It would have been some other capacity. I really thought I was going over there first to be a shooter. And what I mean by that is escorting their people around the country in a vehicle, right? To be a shooter. That's what I thought I was going to do. It was quite a shock when I got there to find out what else I was going to be doing. And I was like, whoa, wow. But no, it was big. It was a big. It's at this point, I think, when Denny comes and we start shoring everything up, because we see the country's going downhill. We got to tighten our screws too, right? That I start to realize, wait a minute, this is real. This is a government, a real, honest-to-God government that I'm trying to protect here. I don't think that ever sunk in with me from the beginning. But after talking to them, after sitting down and giving them the security plan, looking at some of the things that could have been massive failures if we didn't get in front of it, I started to realize how big of a responsibility it was, what I was doing over there. And that's when things kind of flipped on me and Denny too, I think, from this being a job about money to this being a job about keeping the government alive. It just totally flipped. So now, money was the driving factor. Always was the driving factor. Now it wasn't. Now it was kind of on a personal level. I got to do this. I got to keep these guys at all costs, even my own life, which I question that too sometimes. Why would I die for these people over here, But now things were starting to flip because we saw that this government was going to have to go. It was going to have to work, or nothing in that country was ever going to get done. We'd be dealing with that for 30 years. So, but
Yeah. Yes. So your job was no longer about protecting people. Your job was about, because you played such a vital role. Your job was to make the government work.
Make the government work.
You weren't writing the policies, you weren't making the laws, but because your job, without you doing your job, there was no government. So your job was no longer protection or security. It was making the government successful, making the government work through security and protection and all. That's a big responsibility.
And now that I'm starting to feel that way, I'm starting to feel responsible for Izzadeen Saleem's death when the president got killed. I'm thinking, man, I could have done some better things there.
With the placard.
Yeah, I could have done some better things that would have kept them safer. But just didn't do it. Just, hindsight. Didn't know at the time. Looking back on it after that, from that standpoint, because you're going to see some things that Denny goes and puts into place as we move forward. It's just fantastic. That just changed the whole realm of what we were doing, simplifying it, and having better communication. Communication over there, I think, was just a key factor. And once we all started communicating on the same sheet of music, things started to roll well from Denny and I. Not necessarily the country, but where we were and what we were doing, things were start running pretty good. All right, we still deal with a ton, but it could have been a whole lot worse without Denny being there to help me out. And you'll see that as we move along. He's going to be the most significant person in this story.
Really?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm excited you're going to actually get to eat with the Gurkhas.
Yes. Yeah. We'll talk about it. That's a story in
I
itself.
know,
I'm
it's
tell you.
the beginning of the next chapter.
Yeah, it is a story in itself.
This is the best. I've told you this before. This whole experience has been so good. It's not, the book's fantastic. But I love being able to just sit and talk about the motivations behind what you wrote, and the emotions, not just from you, but that other people felt as their lives played out too in this book. It's just an incredible thing. And it's no surprise you won the award. Told you that before. You're an incredible storyteller. I didn't get to be at Irmo Middle today when you were talking.
I still have the video you took it.
Oh yeah,
Shape
Middle.
And
that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And the speeches, for that age group, they don't vary a lot. I pretty much had those down on what these kids need to hear.
Did you have 6 or 7 people yelling and arguing?
No, I did not. No.
When you were addressing?
No.
What made you more nervous, addressing Irmo Middle School students or the entire Iraqi government?
At every middle school I've had the opportunity to speak at, and like Irmo Middle today, man, when I was talking, you could have heard a pin drop. You really could have. So it was, Irmo Middle is come a long way. Yes, Principal over there's doing a great job. So it was a good group of students today, and really some of the things I talk about are the difference between power and poison, and what your attitude, respect for yourself, respect for other people, knowledge, having knowledge, power, and then I think one of the biggest points I try to make to that age group is be careful who you surround yourself with. Surround yourself with people that are going to make you powerful. Don't surround yourself with poison. Stay out of that world. Make good decisions. So that's what I try to give them down there at that level. Elementary school's fun. You just go in and scream at them, and they scream back. And I've done a couple there too over the years, but no, I like getting in front of young people and trying to put some wisdom in their head and hope it takes. Just like every teacher here is probably trying to do every day. So I enjoy doing that. Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine school districts all over the country have SROs, have people who take on that role at the district level and the school level. I can't imagine there's any who have achieved basically celebrity status within every school they walk into the way you have.
Well, I've gotten around and I've people have gotten to know me throughout the district. They really have. So, it's a great place to work, man. It is. So, I enjoy the job. I enjoy the people. I enjoy the kids. And I don't get to get in front of them much in this capacity anymore. The capacity that I'm in, as far as talking to them or really getting hands-on leadership. But I try to, whenever the opportunity arises, I try to jump on it a little bit. But yeah.
Well, in our district, and those schools and those kids are better for it.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so. But, yeah.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up. We're an hour and 7 minutes. Well done. If you haven't already, pick it up. Yours does not have the sticker. Mine has the sticker for the Military Writers Society Bronze Medal Award.
Yeah. And if you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell. We'll let you know we got another one out.
Perfect. See you next time.